Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Oh, I was running late as well because I was busy watching videos from when Steven Gerrard was arriving when we won the title there.
We were sitting in the what's the bloody name of the what's the name the
Blue
sky
Sky,
the sky the
Blue Sky
the blue
Lounge.
sky lounge.
We've said this all along. We don't want fair. We don't want fair treatment. We want special treatment. No,
I we do, damn it, we're fucking Rangers.
it's going to be largely a near impossible thing to confirm. What you're actually then saying is, Dave, I'm fucking scrapping this. I can't report that. I'm just getting ranty now.
And the stadium erupts in red, white and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.
Manchester, brace yourself. Rangers are coming!
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the next and last episode of the season of the iReady podcast. As ever, I'm your host, Derek. With me is my co host, Dave. And unlike some, we don't need burner Twitter accounts to send abuse to each other. I just tell Dave that he's a tit.
Yes, that's an absolute belter last night. Made my night, Derek. Absolutely. And the amount of people that picked up on it is absolutely incredible. Yes, there is someone has got serious egg on their face last night and today, and quite embarrassing for that individual, wasn't it?
Yes, we will get into that later on, though. However, we do have 3 games to cover in this last episode of the season. We will get into it. Controversy as ever. They saved the best blunder till last, the referees, didn't they? But yeah, it's all in the life of a Rangers fan.
It certainly is, yes.
So without further ado, we'll go down the tunnel and onto the pitch. So the first game we've got to cover here, Sunday the 11th of May, it was a 4-0 win at home against Aberdeen in the Premiership. Dave, you had notes, you've lost notes, so you're just going to wing it.
I'm having serious technical difficulties here, everyone, but it was a couple of weeks ago. Going to go through it very, very quickly. The team that Barry Ferguson put out here for this match was Liam Kelly in goals, Captain James Tavernier, John Suter, Liam Balogun, Jeff Day, Connor Barron, Nicholas Raskin, Vaclav Cherny, Mohamed Diomande, Barami got a start surprisingly, and Cyril Dessers. And on the bench for Rangers, Hamza Igman, Bailey Rice, Casawaniro, Tom Lawrence, Danilo, and a host of others, including Tom Lawrence and Oscar Cortez, Robin Proper, and Jack Butland. So the first half was a bit of a bore fest, let's be honest with you. We had a glorious chance to take the lead, sort of two very good chances to take the lead in the first half. The first one falling to Cyril Dessers. The first one was an excellent move. The ball cut in from the left by Jeffy to the front post. Dessers got in, unlucky there, put it past the post, but then the next was a fantastic cross ball in from James Tavernier, and that was heading straight to Dessers as well. He had got away from his man. Excellent play by him. It was a pinpoint cross, point blank header. He put it past the post, where I actually think it would probably have been easier for him to score. Aberdeen had really done nothing, but just after that chance with Dessers, they did break upfield 1-on-1 with Kelly in goals. The player kind of snapped at it, thankfully. Kelly ran out, got a great block on, and it was cleared. But that was really all that happened in the first half. It was pretty laboured. It was end of season stuff. And like I had said to you, Derek, I was hoping that the players were going to put on a bit of a show for the fans that did turn up, and I totally get why the attendance was down, but we just wanted the players to do something. But thankfully, in the second half, They did, and we scored some fantastic goals. The first of which came on the 55th minute with Czerny, a fantastic through ball to Czerny. He stayed on side, run through, slammed it underneath the goalkeeper to make it 1-0 to Rangers. Fantastic goal by Czerny there, Derek. And a player, he does chip in with the odd goal, certainly a lot more than any other outfield player does for us, apart from Cyril Dessers. So an excellent goal, Derek.
Yep, absolutely brilliant goal.
Yep, and then only 6 minutes after that, we doubled our advantage, and it was the much maligned Cyril Dessers who scored that goal, and it was excellent play down the left-hand side. Raskin then on to Jeffday, then it was back again to Raskin, I believe it was, on the left wing. He gets to the byline, cuts back, totally takes his man out, sees Dessers running in, plays the ball to the front post again, but this time Dessers made no mistake, slammed it past the goalkeeper to make it 2-0 to Rangers. An excellent team goal.
Yeah, lovely sweeping move down the left. Great work from Czerny as well by holding the ball up, waiting for Raskin to do the overlap and run. Dessers, right place, right time, and a great wee tap-in.
Excellent goal. And then the pick of the bunch, absolutely sensational. 70th minute, Hamza Igaman with a fantastic volley. It was relentless pressure, to be fair to Rangers. They could smell blood. They were putting balls into the box. The ball then gets cleared by the Aberdeen defender only as far as Igaman on the edge of the box. And it wasn't just a matter of him hitting it first time. The ball came to him, he flicks it up perfectly and then just hits an absolute one of the sweetest volleys you'll see, Derek, into the bottom left-hand corner. Absolutely fantastic. And this is what we know that this guy can do. So it's just trying to harness to get him to do it more often, but a fantastic goal by Igaman.
What was amazing about it is it was out of nothing as well. It was an attempted clearance from the Aberdeen defender and just out of nothing, quickly, snapshot, bang, in the back of the net. And that's what we've been lacking this season as well. Well, one of the number of things we've been lacking.
Yeah, there was a raft of substitutions in between, and we thought the game was going to roll out because Igaman had came on at half-time. Bailey Rice came on in the 72nd minute, Casawan on the 79th, Tom Lawrence in the 80th, and also Danilo on the 80th. And we thought that that was the game ending. But in the 93rd minute, again, it was chance after chance for Rangers. There was a shot from the edge of the box. It took a deflection off of Jeffday's arse and ended up into the back of the net for his first goal for Rangers, Derek. I often laugh when I say I would take any type of goal off somebody's backside or whatever. Maybe it was his backside, it was maybe his thigh, I don't know. But for me, it was his backside and it ended up in the back of the net. Took it away for the goalkeeper and Rangers scored their fourth goal. It was quite incredible considering it was only 0-0 at half-time. So absolutely delighted with that, Derek, but it's been few and far between the past few months. But it certainly gave the fans something to cheer about at Ibrox, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, just on Jeffrey's goal there, I think that was his first ever goal in his professional career. So, yeah, what a way to score your first goal right off your arse. The game, though, as you said, a complete bore fest in the first half. Kind of what we've seen already all season from the team. Second half, it was like night and day. Why couldn't they put this pressure on in the first half? I know Aberdeen changed it in the second half a wee bit as well, but it was great to watch in the second half, and we got our just desserts from there.
Yeah, no, it was. It was an excellent second half performance and some excellent team goals as well, let's be honest. But it was relentless as well. But again, it's frustrating because we know these players can produce performances like that, but it just happens once in a blue moon for some reason.
Yes. So the next game we've got to cover, Wednesday the 14th of May. It was a 3-1 win at home against Dundee United in the Premiership for the last game of the season at Ibrox. Dave, you were at hospitality, weren't you?
I was, yeah. It was a fantastic birthday present that I had received from a good friend of mine for that. It was the Blue Sky Lounge that we were in, Derek, in the Sandy Jardine stand, which was fitting for me because the only other time that I'd ever been for a meal or anything like that at Ibrox was on my 21st birthday, which was a long, long time ago, that my family had arranged for me. And it was in exactly the same place. But obviously back then, hospitality wasn't the same as it is now. And it was basically just a meal. But it was in the Govan stand as it was then. So it was quite strange for me being back after all these years. But a fantastic occasion. The food was absolutely tremendous. I've got to say, I was blown away by that. And the fact that I got to speak to Jonathan Johansson, who was one of the ex-players that was there, and also Colin Steen. And again, fitting, Derek, because I was gifted a match day programme from 2 days after I was born. One of my friends found it, and the whole centre spread in that match day programme was all about Colin Steen. So I got to meet him. He signed my programme for me, which I was absolutely delighted about. I've got that now in the trophy cabinet that I've got here for all my memorabilia. So no, it was a fantastic day, and as you're about to get into, a decent performance.
Yes. I'm not going to spend too long on the game though. We lined up with Butland, Tavernier, Suter, Balogun, Jeffrey, Barron, Raskin, Diamandi, Cherny, Igman and Dessers. On the subs bench we had Kelly, Proper, Cortez, Lawrence, Barami, Casawaniro, Rice, Curtis and Danilo. So interestingly, Butland starting back.
Yeah, it was. I don't think Kelly's done much wrong, to be fair. He's certainly not had as many bloopers as what Jack Butland has. I realise that Butland is possibly still seen as our first choice goalkeeper, but a wee bit harsh on Kelly, I think, because he's not done too badly.
No. And Dave, you weren't the only royalty at Ibrox there, because Andrew Kavanagh was at Ibrox as well to see the game. And as I said in the post-match, hopefully dotting all the I's and the lowercase G's as well. So
yeah, certainly if you're talking about royalty, I had actually seen earlier on that day that there was a surprise VIP visit from Sir Alex Ferguson to the museum. So I didn't actually see any pictures after that in the director's box or anything. So he must have been there to watch the game as well. I'm sure he would have been so, but unfortunately never got a chance to meet him.
So not a lot happened in the first wee bit of the game. 14th minute, it was a cross in from the right from Tavernier, flicked onto the back post by the head of the defender. Igman tries to place the header in the top right side, but it went just wide there. That was unlucky there. 15th minute, Middleton with a great shot outside the box, right at Butland though, and it was an easy gather. 18th minute, Cherny to Dessers, who had his back to goal, a nice spin and a shot, but it was right at the keeper again. 20th minute, Dundee United having a break after Tavernier gave the ball away in the United half. 3 breaks of the ball, aided by poor defending. Dundee United managed to get a shot off and a big save out for the corner by Butland. And from that corner, on the 21st minute, Dundee United went 1-0 up. It was a corner in from the left to the front post, nobody tracking his man, gets in between Suter and Tavernier, heads it into the net. How many times have we seen it, Dave?
Exactly. Marking was absolutely abysmal, and I was sitting, I had a perfect view and I could just see it happening, Derek. I actually saw what was happening, and I thought if they put in a half-decent ball here, it's going to be a goal, because the marking was just non-existent. There were guys all over the box that looked as if they could just get a free run, and that's exactly what happened. Really, really, really shocking defender again by Rangers. But as you say, it's happened that many times this season.
Yep. However, we didn't need to wait too long, because 4 minutes later, Dessers made it 1 each. It was a superb cross from Jeffrey on the left side to the back post. Dessers doesn't even have to move, and a fantastic header into the top right. That was a wonderful goal, Dave.
It was an excellent crossing as well, something that we've not seen a lot of either from Jeffrey. I've been very critical of him this season as well. We've not seen him doing what we think that he should be doing by bursting down. He's certainly got the pace, but the final ball has always, it seems to be lacking, but certainly wasn't there. An excellent ball, and to be fair to C. Diddy, it was an excellent header into the top corner of the net. The goalkeeper had no chance.
35th minute, a free kick from Dundee United, played in behind our defence. Dessers tried to clear it, but ended in a great shot and a great save from Butland. Not even sure what happened with that one there, but it would have been a great goal. 37th minute, Cherny with a shot from 20 yards on the right after cutting inside, an easy take for the keeper. And to round out the first half, 44th minute, Suter plays it forward to Raskin on the edge of the box, lays it off to Diamandi, who hits a first timer, and it went not far wide. Into the second half, 54th minute, Diamandi drives the ball forward to the edge of the box on the right and a shot wide. 55th minute, Dundee United with a long throw into the box, a weak but free header that went just wide. We've been undone by long throws into the box before.
Yep.
56th minute, a long kick from Butland right to the Dundee United keeper, who waits in the ball bouncing into his box rather than gather it. Dessers was wise to it, robs him of the ball and tries to get it round the keeper but couldn't quite make it there. 64th minute, Igman fires a heavy ball to Dessers, who does well to control it, turns, gets past the defender but sclaffs the shot wide. 67th minute, Dessers blasts a shot over the bar. A minute later, Dessers goes down in the box after being held. The ref doesn't give anything, seemingly no VAR check. He was being held. He goes down a bit easy. Probably the correct decision in that case. 70th minute, Diomande taken out in the box after getting in front of the defender, who's already on a yellow. The ref doesn't give anything. It goes to VAR. The ref goes to the screen and gives a penalty. Clear-cut penalty. That should have been a second yellow card, though.
Definitely, yes. And I'm glad that VAR comes in and does the job that it's supposed to do by awarding the penalty, which is correct, Derek. But it was a second yellow all day long, and Dundee United were very, very lucky that they still kept 11 men in the park.
Yes. And a change to the script. On the 73rd minute, Tavernier hands the ball to Dessers, who coolly rolls the ball to the left side of the keeper and sending him the wrong way. Tavernier gave him the opportunity to score his 50th goal for Rangers and his 28th of the season, so maybe it wouldn't have happened if it was maybe a more important game and there was something to play for, but that was actually pretty good from Tavernier there to give Dessers that chance, and it was a good penalty.
It was a good penalty. My son and I were sitting one of the moments, with your head behind the cushion thing there, because I just thought he's going to do something stupid. He's going to blast it over the bar, but thankfully didn't, as you say. He just coolly rolled it into the corner past the keeper. Very good penalty.
Yes. And not long later, only 2 minutes later, Raskin made it 3-1. It was good work from Tavernier in defence to dig the ball out, gives it to Suter, who plays a lovely long ball down the right to Czerny, who takes it into the box, holds it up, slides it to the on-running Raskin, who shoots it into the net. Just an all-round good goal.
It was. It's an excellent goal as well, right into the top corner over the goalkeeper. Fantastic goal by him, and rounding out a very good performance, especially in the second half.
Yes. And there was a raft of substitutions to pretty much round out the game. 76th minute, Diomande, Jeffy off, Lawrence and Casavaniro on. 79th minute, Igman and Czerny off, Danilo and Cortez on. Worryingly, at that point, Czerny was acknowledging the crowd that it was a clear indication that he was away. And then on the 82nd minute, Barron off and Rice on. So that's how the game ended out. It was a better second half than the first half, again, weirdly. But overall, you've got to be happy with that performance, especially Dundee United riding high, going for a place in Europe as well, and we outdone them. As I said in the post-match, I would have thought they would have went all guns blazing in the second half, but they never.
No, and as you say, Dundee United, one of the informed teams at the moment, and with us, you never know what you're going to get recently, so excellent to get that 7 goals scored in 2 games at Ibrox, but too little too late, unfortunately.
Yes. So, the last game of the season, the last game we've got to cover here, it was on Saturday the 17th of May. It was away against Hibs where we drew 2 each. Now, it's a cliche, but if, and other pods have said it as well, if you could sum up our season in one game, then this is probably it, because it had everything. It had bad decisions, it had some really good play, it had some really sloppy play, some really good goals, some good teamwork, some really poor defending from us, some really sloppy goals, some good keeping, some bad keeping. It had everything, Dave, apart from a sending off, I think.
Yeah, it was very, very apt, as you say, and another end of season game against Hibs where it's a high scoring draw. It seems to happen nearly every season, and happened again.
Yep. So we lined up Butland, Tavernier, Suter, Balogun, Casavaniro, Barron, Raskin, Diomande, Czerny, Danilo and Dessers. On the subs bench we had Kelly, Proper, Cortez, Lawrence, Inciala, McCausland, Rice, Curtis and McCallion. So we got off to a fantastic start. On the second minute, Dessers made it 1-0 and that was his 29th of the season as well. It was a goal kick by the Hibs defender who played it to the keeper, who kicks it out, but it was a poor kick out. Raskin was alert, heads it in the ball back into the box. The ball bounces, Dessers with his back to goal, he chests it, spins around and shoots into the net. That was a fantastic goal, Dave.
Sensational goal again, and that's why he's so bloody frustrating, isn't it? Because if he's really not got time to think about something, you coined the phrase a touch of the Kenny Millers. That's exactly what that was, because he just knew that he had a one-off chance to get a turning shot, and he'd done it absolutely perfectly. It's a sensational goal.
However, on the 10th minute, Balogun had to go off injured and Proper came on for him. It's one of these things, you're substituting a really good solid defender for an absolutely ropey defender. And I mean, I'm being kind there, I think, as well.
Yeah, you definitely are.
And Balogun, once again, injured, and we'll get into it later on, but, you know, it's just so frustrating. Could he have not been 10 years younger and less injured? But this is the big problem with Balogun. He's just injured far too often.
He is, and as you say, it's such a shame because that is the type of defender that you want in there. No nonsense, great in the air, bit of a leader. And as you say, unfortunately, it's just been injury after injury with him. So really, really unlucky.
Yep. 12th minute was a shot by Hibs, but it was comfortable save for Butland. 14th minute was a quick break with Danilo playing a lovely ball to the right side to Czerny. A nice first touch, shoots inside the box, but the keeper blocked it. It was kind of poor from Czerny that here. And here is where the controversy happens. On the 15th minute, Raskin has the ball in the back of the net to make it 2-0 after a lovely pass by Danilo. Raskin takes a touch, he gets dragged back, the ball goes over the line and it was then cleared. Hibs then go right up the park and score. There was a bit of a kerfuffle, nobody knew what happened, and on the 18th minute, the Hibs goal stands, our goal didn't. It was one each. Now, there was an apparent VAR check for the Hibs goal because there was apparently an offside decision, but it was onside. However, there was no VAR check for the ball going over the line for Raskin. Now, we don't have goal line technology in Scotland, so we can rule that out straight away. We've seen how goal line technology works this season when we got a goal for us against Fenerbahce, I think it was, when it was like millimetres over the line. I'm trying to stay calm with this one, Dave, because it's an absolute farce. It really is. Just take the sequence of events. Raskin was getting pulled by Rocky Bashiri away from the ball.
Way, yes.
The whole way. Raskin still managed to get a toe to it, which sends the ball over the line. Raskin then does kind of have a wee shove at Bashiri. Bashiri goes into the back of the net. His feet are well over the line. The ball hits the inside of the post, hits off the inside of the net. Bashiri then clears it while it was well over the line. The linesman's looking right down the line, unobstructed, and should be able to clearly see that ball going past the post, which would indicate that it's well over the line. The referee doesn't blow for the goal. Hibs then gather the ball, they throw it out, they go up the park and score. The Rangers players stopped largely because they thought it was a goal. Raskin was celebrating. I do not know what was happening here. Now, I've said in the post-match, the referee can miss these things just depending on where his positioning is. And for a goal line thing, I suppose that's kind of fine. It shouldn't happen, but I can understand it. Linesman, it's not really fine because that's one of the things that they were looking for. Does the ball go over the line, whether it be the touchline or the goal line? It's not fine, but it can happen because of positioning. So it can happen, right? That's fine. But clearly, he was unobstructed view and seen it. Wrong on-field decisions can happen, but there is absolutely no excuse for the three officials in VAR to miss that. Now, the SFA quickly came out and said during the game, I think it was to the BBC who were clarifying it, there was no conclusive video images to show that the ball going over the line. I'm sorry, there was plenty of images. It's been debunked, that one. You've had ex-referees all up and down the land. You've had pundits all saying it was clearly a goal. The only people who don't think it's a goal were Celtic fans and Hibs fans, and they seem to claim that Rocky Bashiri was fouled. Now, there was a slight push, not enough for him to go flying over like that, but if it wasn't a goal, then it should have been a penalty and arguably a red card because Rocky Bashiri was pulling the arm of Raskin all the way there. Clearly no attempt to go for the ball. He was just trying to get Raskin away from that goal. So it should have been, if it wasn't a goal for us, it should have been a red card and a penalty. Dave, I still cannot get over this.
No, it's one of the worst decisions I've seen in a long time. And I've been trying to be subjective as to think as to why it's not been given, and I still can't get round my head that they said that there's no conclusive evidence that it was over the line. We needed goal line technology. No, we didn't need goal line technology because you could see quite clearly it hit the inside of the side of the net. It's quite clear. Now, the question I've got for you is after that event had happened, somebody, I don't know if it was Dessers or whatever, tried to shoot the ball straight after it as well, and Bushiri managed to block it and it went out. I think it was possibly Dessers. So the question I've got is, if Dessers hadn't have shot, would it have made any difference? Probably not. It wouldn't, because it was clearly a goal. That was one thing. But even as you say before that, it was quite clear that Raskin was getting hauled back. As soon as he got into the box, he was getting pulled back. He was getting pulled back the whole way. There was nothing there whatsoever. They then said that VAR couldn't tell. We needed goal line technology and stuff like that. Now, VAR, as far as I'm aware, and I've heard it on a few other radio stations as well, use television camera angles, not just their own. They have used Skies and stuff like that before. So surely they could have went back and seen exactly what we had seen. Just even to stop the ball when it hit the side of the net to say, oh, well, it's hit the side of the net, so it's definitely inside. It's beyond me. The linesman or the assistant referee, as you say, had a completely unblocked view of where it is. There's a still image of him looking right down with nothing in front of him. Surely he's seen it hit the side of the net as well. It's really, really poor. And as I'm sure that you're going to get into some of the comments by an ex-player saying it how it is, like everybody else was feeling at the same time. It was just an absolutely baffling, shocking decision. Another baffling, shocking decision that we've had. We've had so many this season, but that's right up there, Derek. There's no excuses whatsoever for that goal not being given. None whatsoever.
Here's the thing, and this is why I've always said that they've went through the technology part first when they've actually should have just put 4 linesmen on the park, 1 for each half. Now, if you bear in mind, we got a goal chopped off very recently, I think it was, when the ball went out to the touchline and Curtis managed to cross it in and then we scored from it. However, the linesman across the other side of the park through a crowded box was able to tell that went over the line, when clearly there was no conclusive evidence, and we got a goal chopped off because of that. Yet he's saying that there's no conclusive evidence for that when he had an unobstructed view and it was on his side. It's just completely baffling. We'll get into comments made by Bomber Brown at the end of the game, but I'm still baffled at this.
I know. Another thing as well, if that game had been live on Sky, Derek, they would have used the Sky cameras also, which would have shown you from different angles that the ball was definitely over the line. So you're trying to tell me that Hibs don't have other cameras in their stadium that they use. I find that difficult to believe, but they got away with one there. I mean, that goes back to the time, a long time ago, where the ball got hit and it came off the back of the stanchion, came back out again, and the referee didn't give it. I mean, I think it was a Partick Thistle game a long time ago. That's right up there with that one for me.
Yeah. So it ended up 1-1 on the 18th minute. So kind of after that, Dave, I lost all will to even watch the game because I'm like, kind of, what's the point? I'm not taking notes now. If they're just going to blatantly cheat like that, what's the point? 28th minute, Tavernier with a free kick over the wall from 20 yards. It was a great save from their keeper and out for the corner. 32nd minute, Cherny with a shot, but it was right at the keeper. Into half-time, second half, 48th minute, a long ball over the top of the Hibs defence on the right side. A touch by Dessers, plays it across the goal, and Danilo couldn't quite slide in. It was flagged for offside in any case. I don't think it was. 49th minute, RTV went down at this point, and I missed us going 2-1 up with Raskin scoring on the 50th minute. It was a corner in from the left, Raskin with a header at the near post into the far side of the net. A brilliant goal from Raskin, one of the smallest players in the pitch as well. I
know, he's actually shown his worth in these positions now, Derek. He scored a few goals like that. He done exactly the same against Celtic at Parkheads. It's obviously things that have been worked on in training, and fantastic goal for him. Superb stuff.
Yep. 53rd minute, Diomande off and Lawrence on. 57th minute, I managed to get the feedback up on Hibs TV. 63rd minute, a cross in from the left by Casawaniro, a slide in by Danilo, and a great save from the keeper, eventually smuggled it out for the corner. RTV came back up at this point. I was in the process of switching back over, which it ended up being ahead of that of Hibs TV, and I'm bloody missed Hibs scoring as well. So, one of these things. Hibs made it 2 each on the 66th minute. I can't remember the exact sequence of events. It was just the usual pish defence. Proper at fault again as well, I think.
It was the same with the first goal that Martin Boyle scored. Again, Martin Boyle, who else, always scores against us. Poor defending all round it and making it easy for them, Derek.
Yep. 69th minute, nice play ended in a cross from the left, headed by Dessers at the back post. A great save from their keeper. It was flagged for offside, however. 72nd minute, Dessers with a shot over the bar. 81st minute, Raskin and Cherny off, Cortez and Rice on. And to round out the game, on the 84th minute, a free kick from Hibs on the left, a long ball to the right, a diving header from distance, and a good save from Butland, but it was flagged for offside. So that's how our season ended out, with a draw. Wasn't a fair result because Hibs shouldn't have got that first goal. It would have made it 2-0. You never know what was going to happen, obviously, in the game, but it completely changes the complexion of the game when we're 2-0 up and they've got to go chase it.
The actual game itself, Derek, I actually thought that Rangers had played really quite well, and they had some really good chances to score after it as well, apart from some fantastic goalkeeping by the Hibs goalkeeper. So maybe a bit unfair that we didn't come away with it, and fair play to the players that didn't sort of down tools after that decision, because the vast majority of the fans, like us, down tools because we were so fed up. So they kept going, and unfortunately they didn't get the victory.
So the fallout of the game now, when the incident happened with the chopped off goal, or the ghost goal as we're going to call it, Bomber Brown on co-coms on RTV went absolute apeshit. Basically, he just called it out, the corruption. It's pure corruption. It's utter blatant corruption. Now, Tom Miller, I can't be bought with him now, Dave. It's the one thing that if they're going to do things, if the new board are going to do things, they need to get rid of him and get a proper commentator in.
Bring back Clive.
I can kind of understand why he said it, because there was this probably going to happen anyway, but he was so being apologetic about it. I don't think you can say that, John. And Bomber Brown says, well, I am saying it. And he's quite right, because it's something that we've been talking about for a long time now, and I've never given into this whole thing about corruption, and when Celtic said it, and I've never liked to say it when we do it, because it does just sound daft. But when you've got a whole litany of arguments against it now, and it's not the first time this season. It's been ladled at me when I put it online. Well, it was a dead rubber of a game, and you ended up. It doesn't matter. It's the case of referees find it so easy not to give Rangers anything these days. You can see how many times we've had penalties this season, and I think Heart and Hand put it out that of the 11 or 12 penalties we've been given this season, or whatever it is, 9 of them have had to go to VAR. So that's that not
incredible? I didn't know that stat. That's incredible.
So is that not telling you something, that on the field officials are not willing to give us stuff, and they're having to rely?
That's incredible.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's the thing there. Obviously, we can go back to the cup fight. There was a Scottish Cup final one last year. There was the League Cup final one this year with the more out than in penalty. There's been a whole litany of issues like this. You know, as I mentioned there, the goal that was maybe or maybe not over the touchline before it got crossed in. The evidence is there, blatant to see now. And Rangers have called out, not corruption now, but they've called out referee decisions that have went against us, quite rightly so, because Celtic do it all the time. And we got laughed at when we tried to fix the refereeing issue in Scotland. And bearing in mind, this referee here, Nick Walsh, he had a major blunder in midweek beforehand with awarding a penalty when it should never have been a penalty for a handball or something like that. So there's once again, it goes down to, right, the referees are making mistakes. Where is the punishment for it? They're getting big games straight away. So the fallout from Bomber Brown's comments, obviously the compliance officer, did you know, Dave, that we've still got a compliance officer? Yeah.
The what? The what officer?
Yeah, compliance officer, Dave.
That's a good job to have. You get employed, get paid a shitload of money, and you come out once the blue moon when somebody, you know, has something to do with Rangers, says something controversial. That's a no bad gig, that, eh?
Yeah, so they're apparently investigating it now. Rangers, in fairness to them, have absolutely tore right into this, and I'll read their statement out here. In a season where Rangers have been on the receiving end of several major officiating errors, frustration is entirely understandable. The idea that spontaneous remarks could warrant disciplinary action is excessive, surprising and inconsistent. This development should not overshadow what was a clear mistake, evident to everyone who has seen the footage of the game. The focus should be on raising refereeing standards for the good good of Scottish football. Should a charge follow, we will defend it and question whether clubs' channels across the league are being monitored and policed equally. Bang on statement here, and as David Edgar said, if Rangers want to get fans back on side for the arse they made of the whole banner situation, this is the thing to go after. They will get fans right on side, and I think it's a perfect statement, right on the head there. Now, if you bear in mind that what they've kind of intimated there, Tom Boyd a few years ago made comments similar on Celtic TV. It was apparently investigated, nothing happened to that. Irvin Welsh making sickening comments about Morelos, no investigation, nothing happened. Celtic even sanctioned a filming of a documentary claiming referee biased against them. They had it filmed in their own midden with their own ex-players as well. No investigation.
Yeah, Tom Boyd being the main culprit as well, Derek.
Yeah. So I am praying that the SFA charge Rangers for this, because then it gives us the impetus to go absolutely nuclear about it. And actually, it would prove Bomber Brown's comments 100% correct then, wouldn't it?
It would. I was really pleased he said it, Derek, and the fact that he basically just said, well, I really don't care what you say, Tom. I'm calling it as I see it, and it's corruption. It was excellent, and it was a spur-of-the-moment thing. He was speaking from his heart there, but he was saying exactly the same as every one of us who were so frustrated with that decision. It just seems to happen time and time again with us. And that stat that you've just gave there, which I didn't know about, I'm still flabbergasted by that. Absolutely incredible.
I mean, here's the thing, and you've got to applaud them in some respects. Now, they had this whole VAR review thing after every week. Willie Collum was coming out and doing YouTube videos about, the certain decisions and all that. Now, we know what Colin was like as a referee. It was always about him. So there was always this element, this is exactly what it's all about. It's all about him. He thinks he's a saviour. He's going on and presenting these things. So that's, you got to take it with a pinch of salt. But here was the thing. We were never finding out what the punishment was, or if it wasn't punishment, what training were these referees getting. They've never done any behind-the-scenes videos of what referees actually go through in their training to understand the mistakes they're making. They basically just get maybe stepped down for a week and then they get put back in right into the Premiership. I mean, here's the thing about calling this out. Celtic kicked up stink about a referee, about that same thing about they got a goal chopped off against Hibs where it might not have went over the line before it was crossed in. They made a complaint about it. What do you know? That referee, the very next time, was stepped down. He'll never do a VAR refereeing job again. So Celtic complain, there's action taken. Rangers complain, we get laughed at. We get charges thrown against us. So that's the kind of thing we've got to play it here. So we will see it in due course, but I hope they charge us, Dave. So before we go into the news, obviously we've got to have a brief overview of the team now. The day after the Hibs game, Rangers confirmed that Ferguson and his background team had left, and they thanked them for it. Barry Ferguson, a legend of a player, a bit of a ball bag as a pundit, questionable manager. However, he always came across well in the pressers that he done. You can only thank him and his team for stepping up. He was never expected to be a miracle worker. He was there to get us to the end of the season effectively. Some fans going on about how he was wanting the job, and he kept on about it towards the end of the season. Yeah, he felt he could do it. I don't blame Ferguson for that, because the press asked him about it in literally every single presser. He played a blinder against Celtic and Fenerbahce. He was tactically naive at times. However, it was clear the players played a big part in the downfall and the way we played towards the end of the season as well. So you've got to thank him for the job he done, and we wish him well. And he's always going to be a legend of a player.
Yeah, 100%. He was brought in to galvanise the support, because if Philip Clement had stayed on as the manager, the stadium would have been half filled. So he did that. He brought back a host of ex-Rangers players. The fans were on board. They came back out, cheered the team on, but it didn't work out at all. Some of the games that we didn't start playing until we were 2 goals down. It was really poor that way defensively, but he galvanised the team for the Celtic game away. That kind of got the monkey off our back, because we hadn't won at Parkhead for so long. He managed to do that. The victory Fenerbahce, as you say, fantastic. But really, apart from that, Derek, there was nothing to write home about at all. And he was asked constantly, but as you say, with his links to the media, I would have been surprised if he wasn't. And I always thought that he wouldn't be the full-time manager. I always knew it was a stopgap. But as you say, we thank him for everything he'd done. Nothing will change with the fact that he is a Rangers legend, ex-Rangers captain. He goes on, I think, to go back to his ambassador role. I just wish that he would stay out of the press a lot of the times and get behind the team. But we just have to go for there, and hopefully we get a new manager in very quickly, because time is ticking and we don't have that much time before the Champions League qualifiers come on, so we need someone in as soon as possible.
Yes. So you mentioned the new manager. Who is that man going to be? Who the fuck knows? That's all I'm going to say.
We've been strongly linked with two managers, haven't we? One ex-manager and one completely out there pick, shall we say. The two names that have been mentioned is David Ancelotti. He is the assistant manager. His father was at Real Madrid, but he's been with them every club that he's been at. Apparently a very good coach. Be a bit sceptical about that one. We've been down the road with coaches before. And the other one, as you're maybe about to get into, where the bookies have suspended all betting, is the return of Steven Gerrard. But again, I would be a bit sceptical about that as well, Derek. So only time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I need to say is, though, I just wish everybody would calm the fuck down. I really do. They'll just stop jumping on every single rumour, flying off the handle at this. It might be this person, it might be that person, getting so excited about this person. I'm Dave, I know you like your rumours, but I'm just so sick and tired of it, because it's just bringing out the negativity in everyone.
I like the player rumours, Derek. I like to hear about players that we're maybe going for and we're maybe not going for, and who's been looked at and stuff. And the vast majority of it is absolutely made up nonsense. But I find it quite amusing. The manager stuff, though, as you say, is getting a bit tedious. We just have to wait and see. I just hope that it happens quickly now. That's what I hope.
I mean, just on that, it was definitely going to be Gerrard, and then it was maybe Russell Martin, then it was back to Gerrard, then Davide Ancelotti was put forward. Obviously, there was claims of nepotism with following his dad as an assistant everywhere his dad's went. It was broke by a Real Madrid news fan account type thing where it had 3.3 million followers. I don't know why we're classing the credibility of any social media account by the amount of followers they've got.
I mean, apart from ours, obviously.
Well, exactly. I mean, they apparently said that we had been speaking to him and everything was set that he was set to become our new head coach. Then the story got rubbished by another Twitter handle which said that he had turned it down, so the papers jumped on that and Celtic fans were cock-a-hoop. Oh, he turned you down. Then that story was rubbished again, so the rubbish story got rubbished. Now there's a short list of apparently 5. The Sun's saying it's 2. All the while, people are going apeshit, good and bad for everyone. As I said, it's really just tiresome. I can't be fucked with it. I mean, if the signing of Kevin Thelwell is anything to go by, nobody apart from those doing the negotiating actually know what's going on, because that came out the blue. Nobody knew anything about it. So it's a watch this space. As you said, a couple of bookies of suspended betting. Betfair, definitely. I think Sky as well. Gerrard's the clear favourite with both of them. However, the manager market is obviously, you could put a tenner on and it could swing it. I think mainly that story about Gerrard was on the back of Cisse, his ex-teammate, posting on social media that Gerrard had to pull out of an event that Cisse was hosting at the weekend. So obviously speculation got rife from that one there. So there's good points and there's bad points about everyone. We could get Pep, we could get Ancelotti Senior.
Jose.
Every manager is a risk. You never know what you're going to get. We've seen already that players that they might work initially like it did with Clement, and then something happens within the training and it all goes to shit and they just stop listening to managers. So we'll need to wait and see how that turns out. We will be back with a podcast if and when it happens shortly, unless it's this weekend, because I'm away to London, so nothing will happen this weekend.
We want Jose with Bomber Brown as his assistant, because the press conferences would be absolutely fantastic. Could you imagine that? Any decisions go against us? That's what we're looking for, Derek. That'd be absolute fireworks.
Going on to players now, it came out earlier on today that Leon Balogun has left the club, and he issued a very, very nice statement on his Instagram. As I said before, just a shame he wasn't 10 years younger and less injury prone. He always gave it his all on and off the park, always professional. Good luck to the rest of your career.
Definitely, yes.
What broke tonight is we've also confirmed that Hadji and Lawrence are leaving due to their contracts ending, and the loans for Cherny, Fernandez and Casawaniro, they've ended, so they'll be also leaving as well. So Hadji, one of these players plagued by a bad injury for a couple of years, wrongly sent out on loan by Beale, had some really, really important and really good moments, but he was too hot and cold. Lawrence, great peg, too injured often enough, never offered enough. Fernandez, the enigma, he released a statement as well, and he even cited an injury, and it just didn't work out, but he really enjoyed the club. Cherny, that's how loans really should work, and I'm just gutted we can't keep him, but that's one of the things. Casawaniro showed it initially when he came in, but just he got injured, and like the story of so many players over the last couple of years, and we wish them all the best.
Yep, I just have to hope Cherny turns out a bit like what happened with Steve Davis and then Ryan Kent, because if you can remember, we had them both on loan, made big impacts. They went back to their parent clubs, weren't signing them, and then out of the blue, we signed both of them. So can only hope, because I really like Cherny. I think he's a top player, and probably outside Dessers, the only one that looks as if he can score a goal. So a big miss, and definitely one if there was any chance to try and get him, bring him back, definitely. But we'll just have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah. I just want to run over a couple of players that were in the last kind of couple of squads. Butland, Dave, I think, as much as he can be a good shot stopper, he went through a real big crisis of confidence. If we can get him back to playing well, then I would say you've got to keep him, but can he get back to that level? I don't know.
I don't know. Goalkeepers are completely different, aren't they, to any other player, because they are isolated in there. It's basically just down to them. You know, if you've got a defender that's possibly playing alongside another defender that's really good, it can you get your confidence back up. Same in midfield, same up front. Goalkeeper's completely different, as you say. If your confidence goes in goals, it's very difficult to get that back. So I honestly don't know what's the best thing for Jack Butland. I don't know if we were to get a half decent offer for him, even a few million, cash in on him. But I genuinely am flummoxed with him, Derek. I don't know what to do if I was in charge.
Kelly, I think he's a decent backup keeper, but I mean, if we can keep him on the books as the backup, he's certainly not going to be number one. Tavernier, he's going into the last year of his deal. I think regardless, I think we need to move him on, and I don't think he will. I think he'll be there, but the new manager, whoever he is, needs to keep him out of the starting lineup. Bit part player only. Suter, I think he's a great siege defender, but he's always got a mistake in him. I don't think he's the option. Diamande, I think there is a player there. He can be blown hot and cold sometimes. Barron, I think he's a good squad player. He's a good Scottish player. Raskin, I think he's got 2 years left of his contract. He needs to sign a new deal, or we need to get rid of him, I think, because his stock will never be higher. I think that's probably why we need to get rid of him, unfortunately. Dessers, the enigma. You cannot sniff at a 29-goal striker. I know people are then trying to downgrade it. Oh, he only scored 18 in the league. You look at, and people are dismissing this, you look at the championship winning team for the past 10 years or so, apart from maybe 1 or 2 seasons, it's always been under 20 goals in the Premiership. Certainly not scoring 29 goals in total either as well. So I think you've got to look at that. I think ultimately, if we can get that money for him, get him out of the squad, I think.
You know me, I was highly, highly critical of the guy, like big time. But the more that I watch him, he's always there, Derek. He's always available for selection. Nothing seems to faze him. And I would like to see how he plays in a team where we aren't relying on him solely, which we are, let's be honest, to score goals. I would like to see him in a team where he's got, I mean, I know that Cherny scored a few, and at the end of the season, Raskin scored a few, but I would like to see him playing in a team where we've got, you know, if we're playing 3 up front, all 3 are chipping in with a fair amount of goals, both wingers. and to see a couple of midfielders score some goals right the way through the season into double figures. I would like to see how he plays then in a team that we're not just relying on him and him alone to get us goals. So I am torn on him as well. I would like us to get another striker in so that there is competition there, because he always seems to do better when he comes back in for being left out in the cold, doesn't he? So I know we've got Igaman there. I'm still not sure about him. There is an absolute top class player in there, but again, that's going to be for the new coaching team to bring that out on a more consistent level. So yeah, I'm a bit torn on Dessers myself, to be honest with you.
I mean, obviously, a lot of people might have seen what I put out on Twitter, and the fact that I don't think he was the problem, because when you've got a player scoring 29 goals, there's only 2 other players in the squad this season that have hit double figures, and that's Igaman and Cherny. So Cherny's away. We've only down to 2 players there. That's the issue,
Just
like what you said.
Saying, yeah.
So that's the big issue, and combine that with a leaky defence. So Dessers is not really the issue. Yes, he misses a lot of chances, but so does every striker. You've obviously mentioned Igaman there. I think that's more of a long-term project. He's got a good few years left anyway, so I would say if we can get the best out of him this year, get him punted for high value, even though there is apparently people sniffing about. Danilo, I would get rid of him.
Yep. Straight away, yep.
I know he's been injured for a good part of it as well, but he's
just injured constantly. Yeah. Constantly injured.
There's another problem. He's injured constantly. When he plays, he doesn't score as much. Cortez, well, we're obligated to buy him. Curtis, well, that's a youngster. McCallion, youngster. McCausland, we've spoke about him before. Too much of an opportunity, and he's not taking it. Nsiala, there's a possible player there. Proper, no, get rid of him. Rice, a youngster. So there's a number of players that we could get rid of. Like last season, we cannot get rid of them all. This is potentially why Tavernier will stay, unfortunately. But it's another rebuild, Dave. Another rebuild. Season after season rebuild. So
we've got the backbone, or at least enough players for the spine for a very good team at the moment, Derek. I know you're on about Diomande. I think Diomande's a really good player, a player that we should be getting more out of. Him and Raskin in the centre of the park. I do like John Souttar. If you were to put a really good defender alongside him, I think you get that. You've got him, and at the moment you've got Dessers. So you've got the spine of a team at the moment. It's just adding quality to the rest of it. So I don't think it's as much of a rebuild as we have been before, but we certainly need at least 6 or 7 players in there, but 6 or 7 players who can contribute straight away. But again, that's down to whoever comes in, the director of football. I'd like to think that there's already a list of players that have been circled as players that we want to try and bring in, and so we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Yes, so we will now go into the news. So a few bits and pieces as ever to go over. The second lot of minutes from the Fans Advisory Board meeting were released. The first thing to come from it was that in February 23, Rangers agreed a new 7-year deal with Castore. However, they never told us about it. I can kind of understand why fans were a wee bit miffed at Rangers not telling the fans. It kind of gives the vibe of underhandedness and a lack of transparency. That said, we'd already come out of the original deal pretty well with around about £7 million a year. It won't be for any less if the tops are bought, that is. They pay what they say they're going to pay when they say they're going to pay it, so you can't argue with that there. The designs have got better and better. Some have been great, some have been a wee bit meh. The quality is good. Granted, the first year it was questionable. They apparently have sorted out their distribution with new premises apparently getting sorted as well, and new distribution partnerships. So it all seems that people are just moaning for the sake of moaning. That doesn't sound like Rangers fans at all, Dave, does it?
No.
Adidas the last few years, they've had absolute shanners of designs. Nike, just the generic stuff as well. So are we going to get any better? Are we going to get any more money? We'll be sharing designs, and I think it just all boils down to this. I'm not going to say snobbishness, but I'm going to say people are delving too much into commercial matters when we as fans really shouldn't be bothered about that. And 2012 has left a lot of scars on people. I just want to go out and support the football team and not be bothered about who the bloody shirt sponsor is. As long as the club are making money from it, and as much money as they've tried to get, that's fine by me, Dave. And again, I put a thing out on Twitter, like, I don't know what people's issue are, and most people came back saying the exact same thing. People are moaning for the sake of moaning.
I know, and I've never had an issue with Castore at all, Derek. I mean, I've got a few of the three-quarter zip tops. I've got a hoodie. The Castore stuff's actually generally been quite good quality, to be perfectly honest with you. I just think there's a lot of people there are worried that there is still some sort of link in the background with Sports Direct. I don't know. I've seen a few things online. A lot of people concerned about that, which I understand. But I've never seen anything, any concrete evidence that that is the case. But I think that a lot of people have got that in the back of their head. But they've taken over Umbro Castore, which I think is a great move, because Umbro is a classic footballing brand. So I'm absolutely delighted that that's the case as well. We're kind of going back to a bit retro. Good to see. So no, I don't have an issue with it at all. And their portfolio is getting bigger and bigger every time you see it. They are now making kits for a lot of teams right the way across Europe. So I don't see an issue with it. But as you say, people will complain about anything, and that's just something that they seem to be complaining about as well.
Yeah. Speaking of designs, the new home top was released. Dave, it looks absolutely cracking, much like the 2011 top as well. We won the title in that one as well, so maybe that's an omen. However, £80 is
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's the norm now. I get it. It's jumped about £10 in the last 2 years though, and I've just seen an EPL top for £85. Dave, I mean, I stopped buying tops long ago. If we win the title in a top, I'll buy it in the sale or something like that, like I did the last time. But I would have bought this if it had maybe been about £50. I am not paying it when it's this cost. I mean, £80 for a top is a joke. I think even the junior ones are £65.
Yeah.
I just, we're at the tipping point now for me.
I know, it's ridiculous. I mean, like you, I stopped wearing tops a long time ago, but then I was gifted the centenary top that we got made, which I absolutely love, and I've been wearing that. I've been wearing that a lot. And then on my birthday, I was also gifted the white away top as well, which is nice. So I have been wearing them where I'd stopped. I've been wearing them for years. So I will be one of those people that you slag off on holiday in the sunshine, walking about with my top on, but I really don't care.
No. Next thing here, the Celtic fan that mocked the Ibrox disaster at the last Old Firm game has been indefinitely banned from Parkhead. I mean, Celtic have acted, fair play. However, the interesting part there is the choice of words, because the last people who Celtic banned indefinitely were the Green Brigade, and they were let back in about a month later, just before a big European game. So forgive me if I'm a wee bit cynical about their indefinite ban there.
Yeah, yep.
So considering that fan was highly publicised, obviously lost his job as well, a Dundee United fan was seen mocking the disaster also at the recent game. Rangers issued a statement hoping that the justice system will take action. So clear images there. Why do people do this, Dave? It's just nonsensical.
It's ridiculous as well, because anybody doing that are bound to be known that there'll be plenty of videos out there, people with their mobile phones and stuff like that. Absolutely ridiculous, and they got all they deserve, let's be perfectly honest.
Yep. Next thing here, Rangers women lost the league on the last day of the season after a 1-0 loss at Ibrox against Hibs, who were the eventual league winners. Rangers looked out of it a few games ago, however, results went their way leading to the last day clash. Basically, they had to win the game and we win the league. Hibs only had to draw. All credit to Hibs, they won the games they needed to, and unusually they made what was a 3-team league between us, Celtic and Glasgow City into a 4-team league. So
yeah,
you've got to give Hibs praise for that one. From all reports on the game, the team absolutely choked. Not the first time they've done that at Ibrox as well, because I don't think they've won any game they've played at Ibrox this season. They've already won the League Cup. They've got the chance to win the Scottish Cup at the weekend, but it's leagues that Rangers worry about. The women's team's costing them about £2 million a season, and it's just no good enough, Dave. I know there's a benefit to it for financial fair play or whatever the new system is. However, I'm not too sure about that. The minutes from the Fans Advisory Board were a wee bit dubious, so I don't know if these type of things do count into it now, but it's a lot of money to be wasting when you're not getting constant wins like this.
A lot of money, considering that the finances in the women's game aren't all that, let's be honest. And apparently Hibs, I've got a fraction of that, the amount of money that were spent on them. The incredible thing about that game, Derek, was if Rangers had won, they'd have won the league, but they actually ended up in third position. So not only did they not even get second, they ended up third. So yeah, they've got a huge budget compared to a lot of the other teams in there. And, we're expecting as fans them to go out and actually, as you say, he win the leagues. I hope they go on and lift the Scottish Cup. I really do. But that is a real hammer blow, considering Hibs have came in really at the first time at asking and won the league on a shoestring budget. It's quite incredible.
Yep. So we've highlighted this a wee bit in a jokingly part at the start of the podcast. I think it's fair to say that the only reason why any of us know who she is because she actively posts taunts to Rangers fans and Rangers and then cries like a little baby when she gets a reaction back. It all came undone for Iona Fife when she posted an image of herself from a Rangers account, which was quickly deleted, and then the whole account was deleted. Now, when called out on having a burner account posing as a Rangers fan, she completely denied it. That's despite a video surfacing where she's talking about online bullying and claiming that she has a second Twitter account from the other side. What's even more amazing is that that burner account has been tweeting abuse to her main account. So she built her platform on being a victim of online bullying, when in actual fact, she's been manufacturing some of it. I mean, absolutely sociopathic, bordering on psychopathic behaviour, Dave. It's absolutely mental.
It's great to see, though, that she has been caught, though, Derek. It's absolutely brilliant. She has lost all credibility if she didn't have anything. But yeah, it's just hilarious. When I saw it happening, and as I say, it's been quickly jumped upon by hundreds and hundreds of fans that saw it when it happened there. So hilarious.
Do you know actually what's even more concerning is that I've absolutely zero doubt that there's going to be a number of sleeper accounts out there from fans of other clubs posing as Rangers fans to do the exact same thing.
Oh, there will be 100%. 100%.
And the last story I've got here is really concerning scenes at the Dundee United Aberdeen game, where Dundee United clinched the Euro spot by beating Aberdeen. The Dundee United fans flooded the pitch, and an Aberdeen fan ripped up a chair and threw it onto the pitch, striking one of their players on the head, where he went off in a stretcher, bloodied. He's going to be probably likely out for their own cup final now. That fan has thankfully since been arrested. Dave, I just don't get it with some fans. I mean, I say the same for our fans as well, because it's just absolutely needless, and you deserve all that's going to come to you as well. But you're more than likely going to get caught these days. This is what I've been saying about the things with like the Union Bears and all that, and all the stupid things that they do. If you want the club or you want the authorities to be on your side and change laws and change rules, like the booze ban, for instance, this type of thing isn't going to get it done. So I really, really don't get it there. And here's the thing. The authorities have spent so long about, this big Rangers banner, it was absolutely shocking. Did it hurt anyone, Dave? No, it never.
No, it didn't. No.
So we spend so much time in the media talking about silly banners with hurty feelings, when actual proper issues, and I'll include our own fans in this, that's the type of things that should be clamped down on.
It's quite incredible. I was expecting them to say that it was like a 15-year-old laddie or something, stupid wee laddie that had done it. The boy that actually threw the chair at his own player is 31 years old, Derek. 31 years old. What must have been going through the guy's mind? I've got no idea. Absolutely incredible. Hopefully he gets everything that's coming to him. As you say, he's been arrested, but we all go mental at players and things that players have done, but at the end of the day, these guys are at their work, and they should be safe. I think there needs to be a crackdown altogether on fans that are getting onto the pitches. It seems to be quite incredible this season. It seems to have happened even in the lower leagues. You saw it when Falkirk were playing. We had all the problems. Remember a few seasons ago when we played Hibs, when all their fans ran on, and we thought, we were hoping and praying that was going to be the end of it. But for some reason, this year seems to have been really bad this season. So, and that all stemmed again from the Dundee United fans running about the park. There's no excuses for it whatsoever, but I think there needs to be a tougher crackdown, especially for the safety of the players, Derek, definitely.
Yeah, there was calls from some fans on Twitter that they want points deductions. I'm sorry, you cannot issue a sporting penalty for what is ultimately not a sporting issue. I kind of made the point where what happens if me and my mates, who have got no affiliation to Everton at all, or the opposition they're playing, we go down and watch Everton next season. If I'm end up throwing something onto the park, which I would never do, just a disclaimer there straight away. If I throw something onto the park, I get arrested, I get jailed, and all that kind of thing. The club get docked 3 points. Towards the end of the season, they get relegated by that 3 points. How is that fair on the club when I've got no affiliation to them at all? And I've just went down there. So you can't do that. It's impossible to do. You can't blame a club for the actions of one individual. It's a daft thing. Yes, there needs to be punishments, but as we highlighted in the last podcast, there was a Rangers and Celtic fan that threw bottles onto the park, bottles and a vape at players, and they only got community service and a fine and a year's stadium ban. That's it. So it's the deterrent like that needs to be upped, not anything else.
Yeah, definitely. There needs to be lifetime bans for these guys, and they need to be outed. Everybody needs to know who they are, so that there's no chance that they can get back in a stadium. Because at the end of the day, as well, who polices that? Who's to say that somebody that's banned doesn't manage to get back in? So it's something that has to be looked at, and you're 100% right. There needs to be more of a punishment here for the offenders that do these idiotic things.
Yep. So it's now time for Festival Corner, the last one of the season, Dave.
The last one.
I once went out with a woman who, under the dim bedside light, looked like a young Peter Beardsley. Fair play, Pete, you were cracking in the sack. Imagine admitting that.
Exactly. Oh dear, I've got an image in my head now.
More advice than a fess, but sure to be check your wife's moisturiser doesn't have bronzing agent before using it to have a sneaky wank. I sometimes piss in the dishwasher. Been doing it as sort of a comfort thing since I was about 10. I'm now 45 and still doing it now and again when I'm really stressed out and overwhelmed. Probably should have seen a child psychologist. Too late now. Sorry, dishes.
What the fuck?
I mean, pissing in the shower's one thing, but come on.
Oh my God, never ever go to his house for a dinner party, ever.
Got super drunk, lost my keys, nobody at home, dying for a shit. Took a bear-sized crap in my neighbour's front garden at 4 a.m. The neighbourhood WhatsApp has been going mad about what sort of animal produced it.
Oh, belter.
Recently blanked an old primary teacher in a supermarket. Good teacher, but I can't look at her in the eye as she saw me naked and I had to rinse my pants and trousers after I shat myself in assembly.
Oh, God.
And to wrap it up, didn't have much in for pudding for the 9-year-old, just some leftover fresh custard, crumbled in a digestive and said it was a traditional English pudding called a soggy biscuit. This one may take a while to pay out. Oh, imagine that 9-year-old going into school saying I had a soggy biscuit.
Soggy biscuit, exactly. Oh, dearie dear.
So on that note, we will end the podcast for the season. So Dave, it's been a tumultuous season, we'll put it that way. Another manager change. Let's hope that the new regime that we're getting is going to bring in good new managers, good times, good players that are willing to fight for every single ball. That's all we ask, Dave. You know, see if we get beat and the players and the management are trying their hardest. We can kinda accept that, but no with the performances most of these players have been putting in this season.
No, I couldn't say it any better myself, to be honest with you. There's been a lot more lows than there has been highs, and as I say, time's ticking and they need to get this the right man in very quickly, because we've not got a lot of time. We need to get the takeover done as quickly as possible as well, till we know what sort of finances that we're going to have for next year. So not a lot of time left, so let's hope that gets done very quickly.
Yes. So, all that's left to say is thank you for listening this season. I certainly appreciate everybody that listens to us, good or bad. But we will be back next season for a new set of podcasts. As I said, Dave and I will be back when we announce the new manager with our thoughts on that one there, unless it's this weekend, but we'll take it whenever we get it. So thanks for listening and goodbye.
Take care, everyone, and goodbye.
And the stadium erupts in red, white and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.